Hello everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in. I, of course, am Rotype, and how about this view? There are a lot of details that need to be done, but this is a pleasant place to have lunch or something, don't you think? So, between episodes, I actually did a decent amount of work. Nothing crazy, but we'll have a few things to show you before we get started. The first of which is this little marina and I don't know what you call it, just kind of like a rocky area. I wanted to find a nice way to end this seawall, which extends for most of the city all the way around to Folks Quarter. And I wanted to stop using the seawall. So I was thinking about good ways to kind of clean it up instead of just abruptly ending it. So I brought in these rocks, and I think I want to put another one right here to just kind of clip that edge a little bit. Although, frankly, sometimes walls just stop, but I want to see what I can do to clean this up a little bit. But I put a bunch of these rocks down in this area, and then I found this asset on the workshop, and I apologize, I should have looked up to see who makes it to give you a shout out. But as you can see, it's this pretty big kind of marina asset. I believe that's what it's called. Let's see if it has a name here. Yeah, Marina and Hotel is what it says here. No, you even got some people kind of sitting out on little benches. That's pretty cool. I don't know if that's a prop or a real person. But anyway, this is this nice little marina asset, and it sticks out into the river. And you can see I aligned it pretty much as parallel as I could to, or I guess perpendicular, talking about the docks, to the seawall. And I like how it just kind of comes out in the river and designates back up here to be the start of something a little bit less urban and industrial. So we obviously have this whole side of the river to work on, but over here we have these industrial sharp seawalls with the ridges and everything. We can see here, this is, at least in my mind, a very industrial look with these types of seawalls. And then over here, as I said, we have just these kind of park seawalls, which look great, but I don't want to do that forever. So eventually I want to kind of transition. You'll see here, at least right now, this is a kind of beach area. I might keep that. I like how the rocks kind of work to transition the seawall, and then I'll put this marina here, give it a nice little, this is a one-way kind of loop here. So I like how that came together. I added a fire station in here, and again, like always, there's going to be a ton of detailing that needs to be done. There are going to be detailing. Wow, that was a good sentence. There is a ton of detailing that needs to be done. So I'll go in. I'm thinking maybe a plaza right here, just open so the fire department looks out. Again, because I kind of like this view, but like always, there's all this just empty grass that needs something. So I did that. You'll also notice as I zoom out here, we have a lot more housing than we used to, and it's actually not all housing. I'll go into the zone venue here, and you'll see it's mostly commercial along the avenues, and then an office barrier to kind of fill in the square, and then in the middle, it's all just residential. So it doesn't make a ton of difference aesthetically because I put them all in this tall New York theme, so they all, at least in my mind, kind of work together, and you'll see them all just, it's hard to distinguish. Oh, that one's a commercial building, clearly, and this is a residential building, which is kind of what I'm after anyway, because of the lack of mixed zones in this game. You have to sometimes find buildings that look like they're mixed zones, even if they're not. And I think these tall New York type buildings work really well for that. So that's a pretty basic, I know a lot of this wasn't here before, but it was pretty basic, just zoning in, waiting for some things to grow, stuff like that. So that is new. If you did not see my mass transit update, I suppose I should mention that this is in the new mass transit patch. I don't have the actual expansion because I don't feel like I want monorails and cable cars and some of those other things. But if you want more information on my feelings on the mass transit patch, there is a video, I believe I titled it episode 17 and a half, because it's just a short little video explaining some of the features you get in the free patch, how I've applied them, and my thoughts on it overall. But you'll start to notice these avenues and things. I haven't named them all for the most part. I just took the name that they come with. You can't click on this in cinematic mode, so let's go out. But what I have done is make sure that they pretty much take up their logical place as an avenue. Sometimes the game will automatically cut them in weird places. So I went through and just kind of connected all the roads together. So you see here, this avenue goes all the way across. And then each of these will just be connected avenues. You'll see I just went through and did all this. Another thing I did, which I kind of like, is this is all, I did name this Waterside Street, and this is just kind of your, well, Waterside Street. It goes all the way around, and I may or may not continue it as we go over here. I haven't decided what I want to do with this area yet, but this one is kind of nice. I like this being a continuous street all the way around. So let's see, what else? I did have to add a hospital over here in West Side. Let's get out of this white menu. So here's West Side, as we talked about either last episode or the episode before. I snuck in a little hospital back here, and I kind of like that it's behind these row buildings. I think that's, I don't know, it's kind of cool. So you got a little bit of extra greenery and just, as always, some basic detailing, parking lot with some stains and decals and some bollards to kind of put everything together. This fire station, I'll kind of pan around and zoom out so you can understand where we are. This fire station has been there for a little while, but it had no details. So I went ahead, I was needing some trash services, so I put in some trash here. And then since the hospital was back here and I was fiddling around with the details and the asphalt back here, I just kind of filled it into the hospital. And this truck actually comes part of the fire station, but it just stops. The pavement just kind of ends right at, you can almost see that little line right there. So I decided, since you could see the truck and looks like there might be a rear exit from this fire station, decided to go ahead and put that there. Now I don't know what this guy is doing. Okay, that's an interesting way to get to that parking spot, but okay. Oh, is this guy going to do the same thing? Yep, maybe. Okay, well, that's weird, but at least they don't park here. I did mention in my episode 17 and a half that the new Traffic Manager Plus, what's it called? President Edition, I'm sorry. The Traffic Manager President Edition has an option to disable parking on a per street basis. And a loyal viewer noticed that there were cars parking on this train track. So thank you for that. I will disable parking on this stretch of road so they don't do that anymore. And actually, while I'm here, I should make sure, yeah, nobody can park here either because I don't want them parking on those train tracks. And yep, parking there. So I won't do all this right now, but I'll have to go through again and just kind of disable parking in strategic places to make sure not only are they not parking on roads that aren't actually roads, roads that I have to use for some game mechanic reason, but I don't want them to function as roads, but also parking just in weird places on train tracks, stuff like that. But shout out to you for for finding those. Thank you. I'll continue to go through and do that. Let's see, what is next? I did build a new interchange. I expanded the highway system. Well, maybe not the highway system, the street system a little bit. So if you remember last time, we had this kind of be our gridded area, and I had a sequence of segments of this avenue. Now this one looks a little off. I don't really like how that looks. Let's see if I can go in and figure out what the deal is here. The curve in this segment, yeah, so I'm just going to mess it up. So what I'm actually going to do is bulldoze this and redo this curve. But I made this into a pleasantly curved, or at least I had hoped pleasantly curved until now. Okay, let's try, mental math. How about that? 22, so I need 4 more units. There we go. Okay, so I turn this into this nice little curve here. That looks about the same. All right, well, do take care of that off camera a little bit, but it's much better than it used to be just with line segments. I did, I believe, take this across. I don't know if I did that last episode or this episode. So I took this across and added this interchange, which is not used yet, but I figure as we fill in this area, it will definitely start to get used. I also added this kind of, I can't tell if it's weird and I like it or if it's weird and I don't like it. So let me know how you all feel about it. I wanted to keep the road at this angle if I could, because that's the way it kind of comes off this area. And I did, as you can see, I did manage to make it work. I sunk the avenue underneath, and I think I had to raise the highway just a little bit. Although, now that I'm looking at this, we have a problem with our colors. So this problem has existed for a while, and it still hasn't been fixed with the new update. Here it is. The Roads United Core Plus should be using this particular pack, but it's not. So you just have to select vanilla and then go back to the pack you want to get your roads to look right. There we go. Now the roads look much better. None of those weird squares. But anyway, like I was saying, I wanted to keep this avenue at this angle and see how I could kind of merge it into the highway. So this is what I came up with. And like I said, let me know what you think. I think it came out well, but it just looks kind of weird. Maybe it just needs details. So that is what I did there. Let's see. What else did I do? Just looking at my list here. I try to keep a list of everything I work on off camera so you all don't miss anything. But I think that is about it. Oh yes, the one other thing, I guess two other things in the same area. I did rename this the Central Artery just because that seems appropriate. Kind of goes right through the middle of the city. But what I did was add these retaining walls, and I don't think I can click on them. So I'm just going to go back into cinematic camera mode. I added these retaining walls to this side. These are Ronix 69's retaining walls that are a couple weeks old at this point, but this is the first time I've gotten a chance to use them, and I think they look really cool. Like, they really bring together this area much better than that earth wall that used to be there, if you'll remember. I mean, it used to look, if I scroll down here just a little bit, it used to look kind of just like this. So I think this retaining wall stuff really helps. So I think what I might try to do at some point is to continue this kind of wall on this side, at least as far as I can. And on here, I've been facing a weird little glitch of some kind. Let me see if I can show you. Retaining wall. So I have all of these different retaining walls. These are Ronix's big retaining walls, I believe he calls them. So if I add, of course, I got to get it just right. There we go. And it does this. I have no idea why it does that. So I had to delete that. And I see, even if I kind of put these in different places, so I don't know what the deal is there. So we're going to have to come up with a new way to deal with the retaining wall end on this end. I mean, it's kind of like the seawalls. You don't want to, or I don't want to, just have them abruptly end. I think that looks kind of weird. So I'll have to come up with some bit of detailing probably to make this kind of look a little nicer. But that is the extent of what I was working on in between episodes. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump right into what I think we should work on today. So what I want to work on today is Discovery Park. I think now that I have a bit of a conclusion to the seawall down this way, and we've built the gardens here, I think I want to finish up this area, this kind of corner. There's a little bit of corner stuff going on here, and obviously this triangle of Discovery Park that just needs some details and needs some work. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of this live and then jump into the detailing in a time lapse probably. But the first thing I really want to do is actually move that garage, because I think I want to put it in the middle a little bit more. It just didn't look, I didn't like where it was. So actually the first thing I'm going to do is go garage. And I think I don't really like any of these other ones. I mean, this one is, well, this actually is one of the rare times that this particular garage might work pretty well. See if there's anything else. Nuclear garage. No, I don't need that. Yeah, so I only have a few. And this one might actually work better. Oh, we're getting hit with an autosave. I'm going to go ahead and pause the simulation so I can work. And I'm going to try a couple places. See, I don't want it on the waterfront because that is just like a waste of waterfront space. And I'm toying with the idea of getting it so it kind of connects to all three, but I'd have to move them all in. So maybe I just connect two of them and then you have to walk to the third place. So if I clip it in, let's try clipping it in maybe. Yeah. I think in their current position, there's not really a good place to put this. So let's see if I can go back to this one. It's a little easier. It's a little smaller, so I can manage it a little bit better. I would rather it be, I think, on this line. So if I just draw a temporary road here for now. Let's go back to the garage. Yeah, so if I have it like this, but then put it in, maybe, again, like I was saying, clipped into one of these buildings, it's going to snap to this street, but I just kind of get it so the parking lot are still all visible. I think that's the way I want to have it. So I'm going to, whoops, not B, leave this at garage. If I could spell. Garage, there we go. But I do need to bulldoze this street and try to do it again. Probably clipped right through this building, I would guess. What we're going to have to do. So maybe we start coming in like this, and then it goes in, turn anarchy on, and then up. And see how the garage, oh, so it's gonna, oh, this is the wrong garage, that's why. There we go, this one. So if I put it here, yeah, that gives it a little tiny alley, which is kind of creepy and weird, but not too bad. Although, yeah, so here's an entrance. Whoops. Sort of an entrance, but right into parking spots. So maybe this one actually is the entrance, but that kind of works. So I'm going to, this is always dangerous, playing with nodes, especially right next to seawalls. I'm going to see if I can get this to work the way I want it to. Now, hopefully these, yeah, see, I was afraid of that. Gonna mess with my seawall. So instead of doing that, what I'm gonna do is I'll bulldoze this road. I think the other road is in there somewhere. We'll have to use move it to find it. Let's see, I just want nodes. So I don't want to have a floating road in there. Yeah, there we go, got it. Bulldoze that. So now that this is the spacing I like, I'm gonna find a good place to put the road. And unfortunately, I want it to be like in between these two, but this might be good enough. I'm gonna draw that in. Yeah, so now we have curbs. I don't want the parking here. So we'll use traffic manager's handy no parking. And frankly, I don't want you parking around here at all. So I might want to upgrade this road, but I'm afraid it's gonna mess with my seawall, and I hate fiddling with these seawalls over and over again. Oh, okay, good, no problems. I'm gonna upgrade this whole road probably all the way down, or, well, I'll start there and then continue around to grass so you don't get parking. And it kind of fits with the park here, you know, you get a little bit of grass nearby. So let me make sure I did this properly, but parking, yeah, okay, so you're not allowed to park on this road. I don't know why it's so elevated. We're gonna have to fix that with move it. Let's find, here it is. This node is just way too high for some reason. We'll bring this down. That'll work just fine. And it even gives you this little lamp. I think that's part of this. Oh no, that's probably part of the center. So there's our parking garage. I think we only need the one, and then we're going to turn this area into, I've probably said this before, a bit of a park type area. So I'm going to go to curve path and bring this down. I don't know why that was up at 4, but I'm going to turn off a bunch of snapping because I think I just want to freeform this. And I want to say from the back here, you should be able to go to the aquarium, which actually from the aquarium, you kind of just want to go like this. Although, yeah, see, we're getting the same kind of cars everywhere. So we almost have to put some kind of road in here for this to make any sense, which is unfortunate, but I guess that's just the way it is. Some of these assets come with parking spots, and if you don't do anything about them, I mean, if you don't look closely, you don't notice, but I look closely at these things, so I notice them. Let's go here. I don't know why the height is -2, so we're just going to bring that up like this. And that way we get curbs to make this make a little more sense. And again, we get the traffic manager no parking, and this makes it look a lot better. So this will detail as just some kind of back service entrance. And actually what I want to do is just tuck this in a little bit closer so the pavement doesn't go everywhere. There we go. So that is Webb Street, I guess, that connects to the service area there. Yeah, now we have the same thing going on back here. Maybe what we do back here is connect to, let's see, where is, there it is, the node. For now, bring this back to there. And then like that. And this will be, again, I'll probably detail it as just like a service area. And turn off parking. No parking, no parking, no parking. Yeah, use the garage, people. That's what it's there for. That way, yeah, I like that. And that way we can kind of explain these cars that are just kind of hanging around. Now, finally, the Science Center doesn't appear to come with unnecessary parking. I mean, these are a little unnecessary, but it's not as bad as some of the other ones. So I can finally get back to my path making. We'll go back to the path, grab this. I'm still on snapping. I really wish there were a hotkey to disable snapping. I'd have to go through and click all these things, but what are you gonna do? So we'll just do that. And then maybe one from here as well. And let's see, so if you're parked in this garage, let's just say, I mean, it doesn't quite look like it, but let's just say there's an exit. Yeah, okay, so this can be an exit here for pedestrians. So if you want to go Well, really, if you want to go to the aquarium, you got to go to the front of the aquarium. That's a little too much curve. Let's do that. So that's how you get to the front of the aquarium. This exit, you just kind of go straight. Let's turn bending off, please. And just use a straight road. There we go. So that's how you get to the front of the aquarium going that way. If you want to go to the science center, you need to go this way. So maybe nice little curve to there. Yeah. Just move it and tuck this in just a little bit more like that. Good. And then this maybe just give it a little more curve to look a little nicer. There we go. Now that junction doesn't look quite so weird. That way now. So now if you park in the parking garage, you can get to the aquarium, you can get to the science center, and really, I don't know about this connection. I'm going to kind of bulldoze these because this is, as we've said, the service area. It's got these garages and stuff. It's annoying that the science center has these paths sticking out back, but maybe I'll turn that into kind of a, well, what if we try this? What if we just make them, I got to get out of move it for this. There we go. So if I just go out this way and then, no, I want this curve tool. Just kind of a sharp curve in. Maybe it comes in to the same area. That way I can block this off as the service area and you don't have paths of pedestrians kind of moving in. We'll just make this. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Now this one can just go straight and connect. And this one maybe is the way you go if you want to go. Well, let's see if Surface Painter can help us out here. You want to get rid of this? I got that lamp in there, but that's fine. Yeah, all right. So that will work. This is the basic structure for Discovery Park. We got our garage, we have our paths. I'm going to jump into a time lapse at this point and do all the detailing here. And so I will be back in just a few minutes. hope you enjoyed that little bit of time lapse. I think this really kind of finished off this corner of the city, or I don't know if it's a corner, but you know, this area. I mean, last episode, I think it was last episode, we did this area. Now we have Discovery Park, which it didn't really take much, just a few, you know, a plaza over here, a homemade plaza over here, and then just kind of some trees, a little bit of homemade paths. The regular paths didn't really work the way I wanted them to, so I just went with this type of mud and, well, like I said, homemade path. Although there is one final thing I want to take care of here. I want to go back down to a single and just kind of hide a little bit, not all of these little sprites, because I think sometimes they're useful, but some of them in the kind of more trodden down areas. I feel like there would not be as much grass. There we go. Just a little bit, so you get some of the sprites that help and you take away some of the other ones. But like I said, a pretty simple, just nice detail build. You'll saw at the end there, I went ahead and did some moving around of these buildings. I can do that with obviously move it, but also disable zone check helps me out so that these buildings, I can push them around and they won't go away. They won't despawn. And I can go ahead and make things like this corner, which I think, you know, it's super simple. A couple food carts, a little bit of dirt to make the concrete not so monotonous, and some buildings, but it looks way better than if it were left open. I'm trying to remember if I have any other areas. Yeah, so just kind of like over here, where the roads come together at weird angles, you're left with these odd pieces of building here. And why it didn't zone in there, I don't know, but it's zoned in here, and there's all these gaps. It's just unfortunate. So I'm going to be going through, and there's not too much of that, really, because it's only where you have these odd angles that you have to go through and fix that. But this is a good example of an easy way to fix it. Just kind of grab, move it, and push your buildings around, both here and here. And then this little space, just, I didn't really know what to do with it. I could have bulldozed some of the roads, but I kind of like having just this little mini plaza park here, especially, you know, you can look across the river and you got a little plaza, you got Mason Gardens over there, and you got our Discovery Park area over here. So this is shaping up to be a pretty nice area of town. You know, I didn't necessarily design it that way or another way, but it seems pretty nice. You know, we got lots of park and green space area. So I think as we get down into this part of the what are eventually going to be suburbs, kind of out this way, it might not be quite so nice. There might not be quite as many parks. We'll shift down into this lower level wall-to-wall building style out this way. And as I said before, we'll get big boxes out here. So I think the next plan, or the plan for the next episode, and possibly just moving into the future, like I said, I'll keep zoning in this area, and eventually it'll shift from this kind of tall New York into the Brooklyn fine build style, and that'll go off in this direction for some undetermined amount of time. You may or may not have noticed that I put some more districts in, a couple of them just with renaming because I don't have great ideas right now, which, by the way, if you have a great idea for what you want a district to be named, feel free to let me know in the comments. But I have a couple of those districts here that need to be renamed. This will go out this way, like I said. And then here I have Warehouse District and Loft/Old Industrial District. So I'll talk briefly about what I have in mind, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode. But I search for warehouse. Leave this. Yeah, there we go. So Ronix has these Japanese warehouses. And actually, a best way to look at them is over in the sewage treatment plant. Let me go take a look because I plopped a few. And this is kind of what I'm looking for that particular area. Just some very nondescript. They don't have to be run down or anything, but just generic, plain old, whoops, wrong way. Plain old warehouse buildings. A couple of the other ones, obviously, it's not going to be entirely that one particular building, but that's going to be kind of this area, just like a storage. You know, it's got a bunch of train tracks nearby and the highway, similar to this rundown residential area. It's just kind of not a wonderful place to live, so they put a bunch of warehouses there, and it's just kind of, you know, nobody cares that it's just not as nice. Here, what I would like to do, I'm going to imagine that there used to be the warehouses here, or there are warehouses here, and there used to be industrial buildings here that used the train tracks and facilitated the warehouses. You know, maybe they built something here and had to store it in a warehouse over here, but they're possibly in the middle of refurbishing, turning them into, apartments, things like that tend to happen with these old mill type buildings. So I have all of these nice workshop items. So we'll get some, just to look at here that, like I said, I think they look really nice. So they can work as used to be industrial and are now residential. I believe they are all now residential. Let's see. Oh, that's a district. There we go. Yep, residential here. Yeah, residential. So that's kind of what's going to go on here. I want to try and tie a little bit of these two districts together in that this is the industry and that's the warehouses, but also use it to transition into the neighborhood over here, which will be, as I said, these buildings that already exist. And obviously we have the stadium here left to detail, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's where we're going in the future. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have this week. I hope you all have enjoyed. Got a little bit more of the detailing done, and I feel like I say this every week, but the city is really coming along. If you liked it, feel free to go ahead and click the like button. I'll be back every week with a new one, so if you don't want to miss it, click subscribe. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. My name's been Rotype, and I'll see you next time.